Alright, what is going on everybody? We have a lot to go over in today's video, so be sure to stick around. We're going to go over both the good and the bad. So, we're going to go over this news shared by CryptoEddy from last week, and this is related to Swift. Now, the ironic thing is that crypto was basically created to replace Swift. Sovereignty, decentralize the system, improve payment and settlement times, the whole 9 yards. And now what's crazy about this announcement is we have a blockchain that was built by Swift, and we have 17 of some of the world's biggest banks, and they're going live to pilot transactions for tokenized payments on this blockchain. Along with that, we had a big announcement by Linux. So the Linux Foundation launched X402 Foundation to develop open standards for AI agents, APIs, and apps. And we can see a variety of blockchain networks included. And something also that we're going to dive more into is this report that was shared by Ripple, and this was published by the UK. We have a new estimate for RWAs. We have estimates putting the tokenized real-world assets market at $88 trillion by 2035. And if we have time, I also want to go over this, because we can see this amendment we discussed in one of the recent videos that we're in the green, baby. So this is one step closer to actually getting the lending protocol and the single asset vaults live. So let's get right into it. I'm going to do my best to speak a little bit slower because I've been having a lot of lung issues, so bear with me if my voice goes in and out, but this is really interesting, and this is all shared by CryptoEddy. So she lists all these banks that are going live and beginning the pilot. We have Japan's #1 largest bank, MUFG, will pilot with live transactions on the ledger. And even going through this thread, we're going to go through the article and give as much info as possible. People are wondering what network or components and who's going to operate and maintain this. From CryptoEddy's research, she believes that it's consensus with Besu and Hyperledger, along with Chainlink. And again, to emphasize this is Swift's technology stack, this is not RippleNet. So the crazy thing about Swift, we know that it is decades-old technology related to the messaging system, and the thing about it is this moves the equivalent of world GDP. We are talking a huge sum of money every few days. And understand that crypto, as it's been launching, even Ripple has been saying for years, we can do it better. But now we have Swift building a blockchain for all of this and being live for initial use. So we have the list of banks that are going to be piloting the initial live transactions on the ledger. And look at this list. These are all the old legacy players. This is the old guard. These aren't any new crypto startups. This is old money, old infrastructure. Now stay with me here because I want to explain what all of this means with this new network or this blockchain system that Swift has. We can see that they say that development sets the stage for the next generation innovation and interoperability on infrastructure already trusted to move the equivalent of world GDP every 2 to 3 days between more than 200 markets. Now, if we even go right to World Bank Group, we can see as of 2025, the world GDP was $118 trillion. So that's as of 2025, and that is every human on Earth producing that in a year. So Swift is claiming that they are moving the equivalent of that amount every 2 to 3 days, which is insane. And 2026's numbers are most likely higher. So we could be talking $30 to even $60 trillion being moved every single day, that value that's riding on their messages, across their 11,000 institutions and 200 different markets. Now comparing that to the entire crypto asset class, under $3 trillion with every single crypto combined, that is absolutely nothing. So you could argue it is absolutely nothing, but the upside is significantly higher when you're looking at the RWA market projections that we just went through at 88 trillion. And a friendly reminder for anybody not too familiar with Swift, they are not actually settling that money per se. Swift is basically like a group chat for messaging, and it can tell, all the banks where the money goes, essentially via messaging. In that way, the actual dollars or fiat currency can then settle at the banks and all the central banks. So we have the messaging layer, and that is exactly what Swift owns. And then we have the settlement layer, and that is basically the cross-border business payments market, and that could be anywhere from $190 trillion every single year. And we went over this KeyRock PDF. This is on page 34. We went over this in either the last video or the video right before that, so that's where I got that $190 trillion figure. Let me zoom in a little bit. So it even says, the cross-border business payment market that stablecoin rails are positioned to serve runs at roughly $190 trillion per year on bank infrastructure. So when we see that number, that is the settlement layer that a lot of crypto projects are fighting for. I mean, frankly, you could say it's all of crypto because we're talking nearly $200 trillion. So when you're thinking about payment use cases and settlement, that is where the money is. So going back to this Swift blog, I mean, the big question we're all asking is, we can see that they are prioritizing interoperability. The DTCC patent also prioritizes hybrid networks connecting to public blockchains, listing a variety of crypto assets, Bitcoin, XRP, Litecoin, HBAR, the list goes on. I can't name them all. But the big concern that we all have is Swift actually going to be building a bridge, or are they going to be building a wall? I think likely they're going to be building a wall initially and, get the system optimized, working, fix every bug, make it as efficient as possible, and then bridge things over. But are we going to get a bridge or a wall? Because those are two very different futures for the crypto asset class. So we have right here with Swift, preparing to pilot the live transactions. We have their stack, unlocking money, yada yada, the same spiel as always. We have the shared ledger provides participating banks with a secure orchestration layer for bank-issued tokenized deposits on their own ledgers, enabling them to move funds for customers, including overnight and weekends. So we can see this is, benefiting, or banks are benefiting from this, from improved client experience, global liquidity efficiency, without compromising compliance, credit, risk, and control standards embedded in existing payment processing. Now, I'm sure you guys have seen all the blogs all over the place talking about how institutions and banks like the old guard are shaking in their boots because they have to change. If they don't, clients are going to go elsewhere. They all want, tokenization, interoperability, and all the benefits that come with that. So they don't really have a choice. So this is without a doubt a very interesting development. We are going to see this eventually, but now this is absolute competition. I mean, we have 24/7 settlements, pretty damn close to instant finality, all this stuff that the crypto asset class basically invented. And to my knowledge, this isn't touching a public blockchain yet. So for the company Ripple, this is direct competition in a lot of the corridors that Ripple Payments operates in. I'll do control find for a lot of their talks about interoperability, as we can see, supporting greater interoperability in cross-border payments with existing payment rails and applications, and real-world use cases will be critical for these capabilities to scale. So they're talking about interoperability on trusted infrastructure, and we don't want this to be a walled garden where, it's a group and they are not actually prioritizing connecting. The moment that you build, multiple walled gardens, whether it's Swift's infrastructure or any other organizations, keep in mind that you still need a neutral asset and value needs to move between all of these gardens. So if you have Swift's ledger, you have, different banks that create their own, private network, and then you have a variety of public chains and crypto networks and even stablecoin networks, somebody has to connect them all. So value has to be able to move between all of this, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with David Schwartz seeing this years in advance. So we need a connector, we need a neutral bridge asset that can bridge liquidity, be neutral, it can be regulated, and it has open standards. So basically, we can see this as a threat to Ripple, but also the opportunity still exists for XRP. So hopefully I don't rant about this too much longer, but yeah, there is a lot of rabbit holes we could go down going over this. Now let's go over this, and, beyond just like tokenized deposits, we have to understand that humans in the future aren't going to be making payments. It's going to be agentic finance, AI agents doing it on our behalf 24/7. And we remember from last month, we had MasterCard launching Agent Pay for machines to unlock super fast, always-on payments, and to no surprise, we had the company Ripple involved, along with a variety of groups and blockchain networks and crypto companies like Solana, Coinbase, OKX, Stripe, and T54 Labs, where Ripple made an investment. But now we had this news come out 2 days ago, so shared by Cointelegraph, the Linux Foundation launching X402 Foundation to develop open payment standards for AI agents. And this includes 40 different members, Google, Visa, MasterCard, and then even going through crypto companies, we can see Circle, we have Monad, Ripple, Solana, Stellar. That might be a crypto company, there's too many now. Injective, we have Layer 0, Near, Polygon, Quants, T54 Labs, Ripple's investment, we have Cardano, and we have Casper. World Liberty Financial, I probably missed a few. So what is this X402 Foundation to standardize internet-native payments for AI agents and applications? So now let's give a little backstory to give a lot more context about this and explain what is this X402. So when the web was built back in the 90s, the engineers reserved an error code HTTP 402, payment required, and that built the slot for internet native payments, and nobody ever filled it in for decades. So now we have this X402 protocol that filled that slot, the open standard for internet native payments over HTTP. So what this does is this lets any AI agent or application or API pay for things the same way that it requests a web page. So there's no card or account that's needed, no API keys. The agent hits a paywall and then it's able to pay instantly via stablecoins or whatever, and it gets access. It's quick, fractions of a cent at machine speed, and just remember what we went over with MasterCard and their agent pay. So this is definitely a big development. And you can also visit x402.org right now to take a look. So right now, we can see the volume over the last 30 days at 24 million and over 75 million transactions. And we have a variety of groups, as we can see down below, with Ripple. So right now, the payments and the volume are small, but a thing to understand is these are machine-sized payments. So we're going to have millions, if not billions, of these microtransactions that really no card network could ever profitably process. And right in the Linux Foundation's post of this, we can just do a control find for XRP, and then we even have a quote down below from Marcus, Senior VP of RippleX. So we have open standards like X402 help lay the foundation for trusted interoperability machine-to-machine payments. We've been building the tools and infrastructure needed to support that future on the XRP ledger, including support for X402 that enables agents to transact using XRP and the Ripple US dollar today. Alongside the X402 Foundation, we are committed to helping ensure those standards work consistently across the industry. The thing to understand is that this is basically Coinbase's contribution or protocol initially, the X402 protocol. And it's very good to see that Ripple is proud to join them as a premier member. So this X402 is really chain neutral by design, nobody owns it, and that's kind of the whole point of having the Linux Foundation. And having Ripple at the table discussing the XRP ledger, the future of the XRP ledger, and X402 enabling using XRP and the Ripple US dollar, that is a big deal. So to summarize, between MasterCard's Agent Pay and Linux Foundation and this X402 Foundation, machines are basically developing a way to pay. So there are a lot of developments going on between this and Swift, and keep in mind, this is building up the competition for the biggest prize of all to get all of the assets. And we have this shared by the company Ripple. On-chain funds, bonds, and repo are not experiments. They're already happening, delivering on-chain financial instruments that are cheaper, better, and faster than their legacy equivalents. The UK has the capital markets depth and regulatory credibility to be a global leader in tokenized wholesale markets, delivering up to £33 billion in annual economic output by 2035. And that's why Ripple is proud to support HM Treasury's wholesale digital market task force in today's new strategy to scale tokenization in the UK. So again, HM Treasury right here, the UK government's economic and finance ministry. Here's the prize that I'm talking about, and it is absolutely massive. For the tokenized real-world asset market at $88 trillion by 2035. Absolutely dwarfing the current crypto and stablecoin market of $3 trillion. I think we're around actually like 2.2 today, so even lower. We could even dive into the $190 trillion per year that is on bank infrastructure in the Key Rock document, and remember that Ripple was also in this as well, with Jack McDonald. And we also have this shared by the UK, benefiting them with £33 billion increase in annual economic output, I can't speak, and £14 billion in annual tax revenue by 2035. So remember, all of this is like, 10 years out, but that is the potential. And on page 70, we can see the list of task force members, and no surprise, we have Ripple in the room. So hopefully you guys understand, there are so many plans and things going on. I understand that these aren't moving price by any means, but catalysts do, and this is all setting us up for one heck of a catalyst in the future. Alright, so let's go over some of the numbers that we discussed today. So we are talking over $118 trillion riding on Swift's rails every couple days, and that is messaging. We have an estimate putting the tokenized real-world assets market at $88 trillion by 2035. And lastly, one of the biggest numbers, the $190 trillion that runs on bank infrastructure. where this report specifically says that stablecoin rails are positioned to serve. And meanwhile, the crypto asset class is barely above 2 trillion today. I don't know where the bottom is, and nobody can promise how all of this plays out, but I'm happy I have a nest egg positioned for either way. And this is where I've had my Roth IRA for the past 6.5 years now for tax-free growth. They of course offer a variety of other options. And why having a Roth IRA is an absolute must-have is you could be dead right about the entire thesis of this asset class over the coming decades, but you could still end up handing a huge chunk to taxes. And a massive benefit of a Roth IRA is I can take out all of my contributions at any time. Everything that I put in, I can take out penalty-free and tax-free and let it sit. And if I'm right, all of that is 0% tax. And per usual, this is linked right in the top of the video description and right in the pinned comments along with in the first link in my link tree. And if you're in the crypto asset class and you don't already have a Roth IRA, please go check them out. Thank you guys so much for watching, hit that like button, and until next time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash the like button and let me know your thoughts down below. You can find all links to my crypto resources including tools for charting, trading bots, wallets, portfolio trackers, and exclusive discounts right in my link tree in the video description. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.